Hey guys, it's Not Lammers of Invoked 101, and I know it's been a hot minute since I've uploaded. I'm really sorry about that. The main reason we haven't is because we got this giant new computer, and it takes up the whole spot where we were filming. The only other spot we have to film in is this tiny little table. And while I'm getting that ready to be to kind of be converted, we're also looking for a new desk that's bigger, so that way we can have like an L shape over here, so that way we can do filming on that as well as editing over here on the new desktop. But with that out of the way, today is locals, and it's not our usual locals where we go to like play casual decks, and it's for more so for fun. Today is the competitive locals with OTS packs and actual prize support. So the deck that we're of course playing is of course Invoked Mech Knight. What else would we be playing? This is not my Invoked Mech Knight Shadal build, and I actually ended up going first place last week at competitive night, so that was pretty fun. But we have changed up the deck quite, just a little bit. Not quite a bit, but a little bit. So some of the stuff we've added here, we've added in a third Called by the Grave, swapping into our 3 ultra rares instead of the 2 supers. We've also added in added back in from forever ago 2 copies of Instant Fusion to replace the Shadal engine. So the third, and while I would like to play a third Impermanence over the Called by the Grave, that is going to be a card that I'm looking for when we get to local. So if I do end up getting that third Impermanence, then I'll swap it in. Now the other thing we've changed is the extra deck. We have added a new card to the extra deck, and that is Invoked Ragin, the new, not the new, but the Wind level 5 fusion for Invoke. So we are playing that now, which is pretty interesting. I'm intrigued to see how it works out with this instant fusion and having a new elemental target. There was a lot of times this past couple weeks where I felt like where I've played against something that does have a wind monster in it that is a key player, so having Ragin could prove to be a lot better than I think it is. Kind of almost working like Kaliga in a lot of ways, where Kaliga just kind of gets rid of something out of the opponent's graveyard that's dark, and it just becomes more useful. I have also thought about adding in Book of the Law, but that being said, I just don't feel that Book of the Law is currently worth playing in my build. But we're getting ready. Mio's all dressed up and ready to go, so we're going to head on out to locals, and I'll tell you guys if we end up getting that third Infinite Impermanence and changing up the deck a little bit more.
Anything else I can do?
Gaining 2-4. I'm sorry. What? Yeah, anyway, I'll answer questions in just a moment. I'm about to OTK.
I'm about to OTK.
I'm about to OTK him. Let me OTK. So he's at 2-4, 27. So 27 in the Bay Links.
Yep. You can strike it, but
it's dead.
Card has power to use face up.
3,000.
Chain the activation.
25.
Yep.
And then effect swap. Game.
Yep, that's game.
And if not game, I'll just one of them at some point. I'll honest you.
Alright, that's
For 2.
There we go. Hey, you know why everyone's playing solid?
No, what's up?
Because everyone's the new year and everyone's on a diet.
Ready? He pierces and attacks everything. 300 over Diablos. Goes down. He's at 31. Or 2, 4, 6, 8 plus 8. So yeah, 31. 31 piercing. 21? 29 piercing. Yeah, so he's 29. So 19 piercing.
Was he attacking? That answers that question.
And then 17 piercing.
I might go to.
25 and 32. Game.
So we're now back from locals, and it was honestly pretty successful. Our first matchup was against Warren, which I don't have any footage of. That's fine. Warren is like the best player at our locals, so playing against him was pretty cool, especially game one. Him and I usually have some pretty good games, and I always like pick up on something, even though it's not always the most interactive of games. Game one, he was playing Salamangreat, which Invoked Mekk-Knight has a pretty decent matchup against, purely because Salamangreat wants to stick stuff in its own columns to get effects off of the Link monsters. So that was pretty good. That was just arguably a good call. There was like 5 people here out of 12 playing, not Invoked, playing Salamangreat, so I honestly had some good matchups throughout the night, in theory. Take a sip of my tea. But yeah, so Warren took game one, which was a bit of a back and forth, and then game two, time got called, but I had swung at him for 32. I was still at full life, so it ended up being a draw. Going into match two, I was paired up against... Game two, I was paired up against Josh, and Josh was also playing Salamangreat, so but he decided to go first. He went Signet Mining, discard for cost, which he discarded another copy of Signet Mining. I ashed it. He ended up T-setting and passing, to which I OTK'd him. Then game two, he opted for me to go first. I had sighted in my my Lancias and my Sanctums and Scythes. So I opened Sanctum, so I was like, alright, sweet. I started doing Invoke stuff, and I went to activate Invocation. He chained Lancia, so I couldn't banish Alistair from Grave. I still had a pretty okay board. I believe I had Almirage and a Purple Nightfall, along with a set Sanctum and a set Called By. So I was like, alright, fine. So I passed turn, let him go. Standby phase, activated Sanctum, no Ash, summoned Scythe, activated effect, nothing in response. So Scythe went off, no extra deck for him. Went back to my turn, I proceeded to do more stuff with the Mech Knights, and basically OTK'd him again. So that was a pretty good match. So like I said, Salamangreat and Invoked Mekk-Knight is a pretty not necessarily cut and clear, because I have had tough ones, but tonight it seemed to be taking names from the Salamangreats. Game 3 I played against Lair of Darkness, which was another really interesting matchup for me because I hadn't played against it before. Basically, it came down to none of the viruses that Gabe drew into could hit my Mech Knights because they all had high defense. So all the ones he drew into couldn't knock out my Mech Knights, and I proceeded to keep moving them away before he could tribute them. So I was able to keep bringing them back. With that, and then I eventually made, I just punched over everything. He eventually, game 2, he sighted out a lot of his traps, and he eventually summoned Diabolos with 3 tokens on board, and I had summoned Almirage at one point, and I resolved 3 invocations in 1 turn, making Purgatrio, Mechaba, and Elysium in case I just couldn't kill him, and I swung at, I swung for all his stuff. He had no back row, so Purgatrio wiped out his entire board with Mechaba and Elysium, knocking out the last of his life points. So that was pretty good. And then the final game of the night, I played against the only undefeated person, which was Cody. I had a tie, but outside of that, I was also undefeated. So me and Cody played basically for first place here, and he was playing Unchained Evil Eye. Game 1, he made Selene. He did Sergio with Selene, and then I had Mechaba, and he went to pop my Mechaba with Sergio. I chained Mechaba to negate and banish, and he's like, Mechaba banishes? And I was like, yeah, so your guy's gone. So I banished that, banished Sergio, and while Capobalas was a problem because it got equipped with a Evil Eye, Selene, and a Gorgano, and he only had 22 to my 800, and he was able to run over my stuff, I was able to make Borrelsword and kill it. Which, it's a funny story. Borrelsword, I made at least once a match, which was really strange. Then game 2, it was kind of the same. I normal summoned Alistair. He went first and set a bunch of cards. I normal summoned Alistair. He went Judgment. I went Red Reboot. So he set stuff. I knew I had to kill him. We were both at 4,000. But he had the Unchained Link that can quick effect link with your guy. So what I did, the first thing I did was I made Cockgeus, so that way he couldn't target my stuff. I activated Pot of Desires, and he's like, all right. I drew into another Mech Knight, so my purple wasn't just going to be absorbed instantly. I special summoned the yellow, I special summoned the purple, attempted to go into battle phase. He declared effect targeting yellow. I chained purple at end of main phase as well to banish the yellow and search a blue, which let me continue my main phase because it was interrupted. I special summoned the blue, searched another Mech Knight, went into battle phase, and double Alistair'd up my Cockgeus to run over his Link, putting him down to 2,000, and then I swung with purple for a game because he only had traps set and couldn't activate them off of the Red Reboot. So with that, we were able to take first place. It felt really good playing Invoked Mech Knight again and actually taking first place. It was quite a rush, like just feeling how good I was doing with Invoked Mech Knight. Basically just kind of OTKing everyone in my path with Borrelsword. And while I did make Blackluster Soldier, and I have said that Borrelsword isn't necessarily like the boss monster for Invoked Mech Knight, it's not the card I go into the most, I have found myself lately just summoning it and going for game if I can, because I'm not gonna lie, that card is insane. Borrelsword is nuts, and like I said, I made it at least once a match tonight. Outside of that, there will be a deck profile for this. You guys can check that out coming up soon. Hopefully that will be up tomorrow or the next day after this one. So with that all said, don't forget to check out our Instagram, our Discord, and our Patreon, and our Ko-fi. We have all those down in the description, except for the Instagram. That should be link somewhere else, but it's at Invoked 101. We also have merch, so if you feel like checking that out, you can see Mio earlier in the video showing off our lovely Invoked 101 mats. So if you want one of those, message us on Instagram and we will get that set up for you. It's also our $30 Patreon tier reward. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.